Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Dzoro Football for the first ever video on the channel. Today we'll do a match review of a game that happened a few days back, Real Madrid against Sevilla. We'll look at player performances, at tactical systems, some highlights at the end. Wishing peace and health upon you, and let's dive in. Real Madrid 1, Sevilla 0. This game was a game that tested our patience. We had to wait until the last 15 minutes for Modric to score and give us the lead. It's also a game that tested our patience because of how the referees disallowed the goal in the first half. Ancelotti in the press conference after the game couldn't believe that VAR was consulted for this goal. In the same press conference, Ancelotti was also complaining about the performances of Modric, not because he's not playing well, but because as a substitute he's playing too well. That puts pressure on Ancelotti to make him play more. Now this is a great problem to have for a manager. Having that much depth in midfield is always great. Thanks to that, you can have more rotation and avoid injuries, and also have flexibility in how you want to structure the team. Ancelotti's structure during this game was magnificent. It was a top-class performance from him. He had Bellingham and Joselu who were injured and was able to put Rodrygo, Brahim Diaz and Vinicius as three wingers on the field and ask them all to do what they do best, which is attack on the wings. We had very problematic overloads that Sevilla couldn't handle, and it was amazing to see the fluidity and the flexibility that the team had. Most of the times we would see, when we had the possession of the ball, Mendy as the striker with Valverde, and having Rodrygo and Vinicius on the left side, Brahim Diaz and Lucas Vazquez on the right side. Everyone was playing to their full potential, and that's what a good coach do. My personal favorite sequence in the game was actually an overload on the left side. We had Mendy, Rodrygo and Vinicius combining in a very effective way. When Cruz passed the ball to Mendy passed the ball right away to Vinicius and made a run. His run was in between the two center backs. Once Vinicius got the ball, he also passed the ball directly to Rodrygo and also made a run in behind the wing back. So now those two runs was really difficult for Sevilla to handle because this defender is sticked to Vinicius, this one is with Rodrygo. So it is this midfielder that needs to run faster than Mendy in order to cover it. When Rodrygo receives the ball, sure enough, there is space for Mendy, but Rodrygo doesn't exploit it. Instead, what he does is a body feint on the right side and then passes the ball with his left foot to Vinicius. Vinicius gets the ball and then does a sombrero over Oliver Torres. And that sombrero then becomes a pass to Brahim Diaz, and the action ends there. Except the fact that Oliver Torres signed his paper to retire after this sequence, it was really a good example of how fluidity in the attack and not having set positions caused chaos in the Sevilla defense. Mendy's run was really provocative, and as a left back to be in a striker position is a good testament of how genius Ancelotti has been this season, adapting to his players' strength. This game was tense to watch, yes, but it was also very enjoyable. We had over 60% possession the whole game. There's many moments where we saw Vinicius, Rodrygo and Brahim Diaz dribbled their way past players in a way that was absolutely sensational. Rodrygo got the ball and basically showed all the young players why it's important to practice doing slaloms in between obstacles. He touched the ball with his right foot for the first touch, with his left foot in the second touch, and then the right foot again, obviously in full sprint. And those three touches were enough to get rid of two defenders. Now, again, it's exceptional to see how good Real Madrid was in this game in terms of personal abilities. Rodrygo's natural position is at left wing, and we can see it every time he plays on the right. He's not as good. But in this game, Ancelotti put both of them as left wingers in their favorite element, and that caused so much damage. So we talked about Oliver Torres' retirement, but he was not the only player who filed papers to retire after this game. In this situation, Vinicius was between four players, and he received the ball with his left foot, put his right foot forward and did a body feint, dragged the ball back with his right foot, touched the ball with his left foot in between the legs of the defender, and then tipped the ball over the other defender. Again, this is absolutely exceptional, you know, and as you can see from the reaction of the defender, he couldn't believe his eyes when this ball went through. Okay, enough love for the Brazilians. I'm going to talk about Brahim Diaz as well. Brahim Diaz has a lot of quality and a big potential. It's a pleasure for us to have him on the team as a substitute, able to provide an instant impact when he enters. In this game, he showed off his two-footedness when he received this pass from Valverde, and Valverde made a run into the open space in the middle of the field. Brahim Diaz looked and saw Valverde's run, and in this position with his weak foot, his right foot, was able to put a cross. But look at this. The angle is very tight for this ball, and it was able to come through, and that was exceptional. Valverde's shot unfortunately took the post. Valverde in the game was also exceptional. I think most people are doing videos about how we will play with Mbappe and putting Valverde on the bench to have a front three of Vinicius, Rodrygo and Mbappe. It is a good front three, but to me Valverde is undroppable. Okay, now I think it's time to take a minute to praise and thank Lunin. He saved our season in this game. Thank you very much, Lunin. You're one of the best goalkeeper in the world. Courtois can really take his time to recover. Top performance from Lunin. Thanks again. Top performance from the referee as well, who couldn't even last the whole game. He had to be substituted because of injuries. I've never seen a referee being injured before, and I found it ridiculous that La Liga referees are so bad that they get injured being a ref. How can you get injured when you are refereeing a game? Just absolutely ridiculous. Just eat your banana so that you don't have any cramps and you'll be good. That's all you have to do, and you get paid for that. Anyways, so Modric was also substituted, and that changed the game, and it all happened in this sequence. So the defender deflected the ball with his head and it came to Modric. Modric drive into the ball with his hips in a way that indicates that he's going to drive forwards in that direction. So the midfielders follow this hint. Now, the genius of Modric is that he stops at the right time to create enough space to go in this direction with his first touch. Of course, his first touch is perfect, just enough to do one more step before shooting, and this midfielder has no chance of blocking that shot, and the shot goes perfectly in the post and in. Another magic play by Luka Modric. Luka Modric was also very good in the build-up phase. So Real Madrid in the build-up phase are typically in a box with two holding midfielders and the two center backs. And it was interesting to see that when Nacho went to the bench, it was Tchouaméni who took his place as a center back. Modric is different from Tchouaméni. So in this situation, when he did the pass to Kroos, instead of making a few steps in that direction or that direction like Tchouaméni would do, he actually made a run behind the striker that was pressing Kroos. Kroos obviously saw it and gave the ball back to Modric. Once Modric received the ball, he saw where the pocket of space was, right here. He also saw our favorite striker partnership, Valverde and Mendy. But what was interesting to Modric was that Rodrygo was making a run over here. So he delayed his dribbling and waited until those two players were concerned about him and forgot about Rodrygo. And it was at this instance, with this angle, that he was able to make an outside of the foot pass that's perfect for Rodrygo. And to me, one of the most magical things that I saw during the game was that the two players who were substituted late, Ceballos and Alvaro, not only contributed because Alvaro came in with 5 minutes left into the game in added time and did a header to clear the danger in a free kick, and then got the ball and was against 4 players and did like half of the field to lose time. But that's besides the point. What's really magic to see was that those two players who played just a few minutes were the two players who were the most happy with the win. They're the two players who were celebrating with their hands in the air, and I think that was just magical to see that Real Madrid is more than just players. It's more than ego. Players that play for Real Madrid respect the institution. Peace be upon you. Ciao.